All right, I think we're live on both TikTok and YouTube. I'm gonna set my 2-hour timer again, because that worked pretty well last time. Just to basically remind me not to go too long. Welcome Scott Hammonds, welcome Tom Winchester. Welcome Fig Newtonian Gravity. That's on YouTube. Welcome Curated Hobby. See what kind of discussions we can get going today. Flurf TV Flat Earth Global News. Welcome. So one thing I might talk about today is a few DMs I've had with free SVG, aka tartar sauce. It's not a big deal, just I thought it was interesting and worth talking about because he actually took down his the clip that he made of me. So it seemed to me like it created an interesting conversation to have. Flurf TV Flat Earth Global News says, "Hey Peter, you'd like some of my vids? Check them when you get a chance." Okay. Free, aka plantologist, yeah. Yeah, and he may well be a lost cause. I don't know, but I guess I could go ahead and jump into it here. Let's see. Shoot. I got screenshots to show. How's this going to work? Oh, somebody gifted me. Thank you so much, Helping Flat Earthers. That's so kind of you. What am I up to? I'm just hanging out, seeing if I could catch any conversations from Flat Earthers who might potentially be honest. Fingers crossed. And at the moment, I was going to show some DMs I've had with free, aka tartar sauce, aka plantologist, whatever you might call him. Because I thought it was something interesting to talk about. Let's see. So let me try to switch my screen here. Does that show? Yeah, I think that shows. Shoot. Just kind of center that a little more. Okay, so this was starting the day that I had him on my live stream. I don't think he would mind me showing these. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I'll ask for forgiveness rather than permission if it really bothers him, but I mean, he kind of deserves whatever this might portray him as. You'll see. I'm not dissing him right now. Well, you'll see. This was just a really interesting conversation. So he said, "Are we debating 1v1?" I said, "No. You are a liar, and you did exactly what you promised not to do." Because he made a clip of me. You know, he was on my live for like an hour and a half at least, maybe 2 hours. And multiple times he promised, "I'm not trying to make you look dumb. I'm not here to clip you. I just love the science. I want to learn. You know, I'm not going to clip you. I'm not going to clip you. I'm not going to clip you." It just kept coming out of his mouth over and over. And then what did he do? 2 hours after my live stream, he posted a clip of me where he was just insulting me. So it's like, yeah, that's not great. That he pretty much proves he was lying the whole time. He was just trying to clip mine. Okay, but this is old news. You guys already knew that probably if you saw any of the clips I posted of him, right? Because I posted some clips of him afterward. Um, and that's why on Monday he messaged me and said, "Brother, you're a hypocrite. You recorded and were live and posted it. I did the same thing." um, Helping Flat Earther says, "What is worst thing for me is he's claiming to be a Christian." Yeah, that's disgusting. Anyway, so I said, "You're a hypocrite if you tie your shoes because I did the same thing. That's your logic. Just because person A does something and person B does something, that like person A does something that person B is upset about, and then person B does that thing, that doesn't automatically mean that person B is a hypocrite. That's not how it works." He said, "Brother, you posted me, I posted you, same thing, bro." I said, "I told you like 50 times what I cared about. You even acknowledged it multiple times, and it was not the mere fact of recording or clipping. My exact words, trying to assure me that you're not clipping me or screenshotting me or whatever. Look, I don't even care if you were. In other words, I'm fine if you clip me. I don't care if you clip me. That's not the point." And I said, "What I care about is the intent behind it. Maybe clean out your ears. You started the clip warfare. You made this bed. Now you're going to lie in it." Right? So I was pretty upset. He said, "Yes, but that was before you lied about Angel being a horrible human." Okay, so now it's about Angel. And somehow I lied about Angel? I didn't lie about Angel. Every word I said about Angel was true. Every word. And most of what I said about Angel was my personal evaluation of Angel. So it's explicitly my opinion, right? That wouldn't even... Like, if he tried to start a lawsuit in defamation court, it would be thrown out. It wouldn't even be heard. Because what I said was opinions about Angel, obviously. Anyway, not that he was threatening to go to court or anything. I'm just saying, using that as an illustration. So he said he's trying to make this about Angel. You didn't know your own religion. So now he's trying to say that I'm a worse Christian than him. So this is all nonsense, right? I was like, I suggest you cut ties with Angel and Nathan and start working on yourself to be less like them. Now this message is important. Remember this, right? He said, "You don't even know Angel. Besides, when he cooked you on a debate, don't mean he's a bad human being." I said, "Stop standing for him. That makes you a bad person too." He said, "LOL," and I blocked him. Now that was 5 days ago. Yes, Hobbs, this is free. Here, it's this guy. Free SVG, aka Tartar Sauce. He has an alt account named Tartar Sauce, and that's the account he was on my live with. But this is his main account, I think. Or at least he says it is. So yeah, that's him. Yeah, Angels of Light blocked me too. Okay, so just to continue the story here. So you can see I was pretty upset, but I think justifiably so. And I'm like, look, these are the consequences you have to face now. I made 3 clips about him, and they weren't even really clips that were distorting anything or taking anything out of context. I worked hard to edit in the videos to clearly show the context. Looks like I got a request to join. I am going to accept guests in just a minute. Let me finish telling the story, okay? And giving my thoughts on it. So I blocked him for 5 days, but then today I looked again and saw he had taken the clip down. That surprised me. Because, his whole goal here was to, trash on me, right? So, why did he take the clip down? Now, you could say it's because he basically got ratioed. His clip got, I think 250 views last time I noticed. And I had 3 clips of him. One had over 3,000 views. One had over 1,000. It's like... And he just looked so dumb. And when people watch his clip, it was very clearly him just, trashing on me. Unjustifiably. It didn't really make me look bad at all. It really just made him look like a bully. So, it was he lost the clip war, basically. He was outgunned. And so eventually he took the clip down. You could say it was because he lost the war. Or you could say maybe he had a moment of, feeling bad. I don't know. Maybe that's giving him too much credit. That's not for me to say. So I unblocked him, and I said, I see you took the clip down. He said, yeah. I don't know, man. My intention was never to belittle everyone. I mean, that's a lie. He obviously had the intention to belittle me. But, I appreciate him backing off on that now. He said, I got ahead of the game and just going to keep my opinion to myself, but agree to disagree. We will find out when we die. I think he means when we get to heaven, we'll find out if the earth is flat or a globe. Which is true, if he is a true Christian, that's a valid, okay, whatever. But, I appreciate that he's backing off, right? Like, he's saying, I'm not trying, white flag. I'm not trying to, I give up. I'm not trying to make you look bad anymore. I just gotta, basically he's saying, it seems like he's saying I lost track of things. I lost myself in the game. Okay. I said, okay. And then I replied to my own message from earlier, where I said, I suggest you cut ties with Angel and Nathan and start working on yourself to become a better person. I said, I think on what I said here. Who cares if the earth is flat or round? The people we surround ourselves with and the person we become is what really matters. Now, this is why I wanted to show you guys this. Ultimately. This is why I wanted to show you guys this. He said, for sure, bro. Now, this is a good ending, I think. At least for now. Like, I don't have any beef with him. Do I trust him? No. I don't know if I'm going to have him on my live anymore. Like, we'll see. I mean, if he even wanted to be on my live again. I don't know. That's undecided. But I like the way that interaction headed. Like, the direction it was headed in. Because, here's the thing. Even, it doesn't matter how bad the person is that we're interacting with. We have to keep in our minds, in our hearts, and carry with us, and I guess I want to say an epistemology of redemption. A route, a possible route in our minds for the villain to be redeemed and become a friend. If we don't keep that in our minds and in our hearts, then who are we? We're just like the villain. So that's why I wanted to show you guys that. Like, that's important to me. It doesn't really matter to me if he learns anything from that, because what I'm doing is I'm standing here as a witness. I have made my opinion and my feelings clear to him. I have made my voice heard that certain behaviors he had are unacceptable and there will be consequences. But that I am not closed to him going down the road of changing. And he saw that. Like, he might not care. He might never change. He might never go down that road, but at least now he knows that road exists. That is so important to me. It doesn't matter who I'm dealing with. That's why I present my live this way. Truth zone. I'm not trying to hurt people. I'm not trying to gun them down or destroy their reputation or make them look like fools. That's not why I'm here. Why I'm here is because I care about science, and I care about teaching science from a point of view of caring about other people. So that's, anyway, that, I guess I'll get down off my soapbox now, but that's why I wanted to show you guys that. Yeah, Mabel Liney says, man, you are way too polite about this. He's not a good person, but you seem to be. Well, I try, and that's again the thing, it doesn't matter to me whether he's a good person or not, whether he would be receptive to that or not. I feel it in my heart that it is important to me to offer that to everyone, to offer that road of redemption, whether they're going to take it or not. And if they don't take it, at least I offered. There is still value in that, even if they don't take it. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that point too much, but Um, Lindsay Poe says they don't need any help making themselves look like fools. Yeah. All right. So 5 was requesting to join. Let me see if he's still in the queue. Okay, he is not at the moment. I'm sorry, 5. I hope that didn't take me too long to finish that story. Richard P says you're a good person and we see eye to eye on this. Thank you so much, Richard P. I appreciate that. Hobbs, maybe off topic, you believe in evil and why? Yes, I do believe in evil. And some of Tartar Sauce or Free's actions here were evil. You know, when he lies, lying is evil. You know, and that's why I don't feel bad when I level consequences on him. You know, he deserves those consequences. He earned those consequences. But he's still redeemable. He is a villain when he does those things, but he's still redeemable. So I think it's worth, you know, keeping in mind some complexity and nuance here. Do I believe that there's pure evil? Yes, but not in any human beings. Well, very few human beings, if any. Let me put it that way. Most people have some, at least atoms, somewhere deep down in their shriveled up and evil encrusted soul. An atom of redeemability, in my opinion. Most people. But yeah, I mean, I'm a Calvinist Christian. I believe in total depravity. I believe in the devil, you know, all those things. Oh, he's here in the chat. Read my message request, man. LOL. Your message request. Oh, he's okay. He's chatting at me right now. Okay, so I mean, Free, do you want me to like show these on the live? Look, I wasn't trying to make you look bad here. I was trying to make you look redeemable. That's what I was trying to do. Sure, I don't mind, bro. It's not too deep. Brother, want to give clarity. You want me to show these online? I haven't even read this. I don't even know what it contains. Okay. Yeah, of course, we disagree on the interpretation of Scripture, of course, because you're a flat earther. I notice on both sides, Flat and Globe have people have hate for each other. I mean, that's true, but I don't hate anyone. I believe that. Moving on from flat Earth content. Okay, guys, how likely do you think that is to be true? Is Free gonna mean that seriously? That he's moving on from flat Earth content? Flat Earthers say that all the time. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I hate to be too heavily skeptical here, but like, we'll believe it when we see it, right? Lindsay Bow says, "Is this Free guy the one who said air isn't air?" That is what I heard. I don't know the context. I didn't hear the clip, but I've heard people say that he said air isn't air. Mabel Liney said, something happened to Nathan. Narca says getting bored. I'm sorry, Narca. Well, I mean, hopefully I can get some guests requesting in here and we can get, move on to some more interesting topics. But I'm kind of done with what I was saying about it. People judge people from a 40-second clip. But I think that's disingenuous. I mean, yeah, like, but you're preaching to the choir, man. You seem like a pretty collective dude, never hated you or disliked you. I believe that. I believe I was just, basically the enemy by default because I was a Glober. It was in fight mode. That's believable. Yeah, that I saw that you took it all down. That's why I unblocked you. So yeah, I mean, that's a decently happy ending in my book. Cause I mean, we'll see how Free's behavior, goes from here. On YouTube, Hatter's House says, "I refuse to download TikTok." Yeah, it's wild. It's definitely. I think Toon recently, was it Toon? He recently had a thumbnail of like he was gonna go on live on TikTok, and he described it with the Weird Al reference as one box of starving crazed weasels or whatever. Like that's pretty much what it is. There's a lot of feral wildlife here on TikTok. um, Richard P. TikTok comments make me lose faith in humanity sometimes. Blue Ninja Shadow, how does a lunar eclipse work on a flat Earth? Good question. They basically say that it's not the Earth's shadow, which leaves them in total ignorance about what it is, and they just make up word salad, like rescuing device speculations about it, and just bury their head in the sand about the fact that it exactly matches the predictions of the globe and exactly matches all the geometry of like if the sun was under the Earth, shining up at the moon. All of that, like they just bury their head in the sand about that. But yeah, if any flat earthers are in the chat and want to answer that question, by all means, request to join. You can, I'll give you the big box if you want to show something or anything like that. Lindsay Bowe says, black sun was one excuse. Wow. A black sun. Imagine that. Alright guys, maybe hit the like button if you want to encourage this live to be shown to more people so we can maybe get a flat earther in here. Because yeah, this could get boring. Oh, DM Lagoon says, hello Peter. Hello. Good to see you here. Hatter's House says, this is on YouTube, guys. Hatter's House says, I've lost a few friends to this flat earth nonsense. One in particular was using the Bible to preach it. According to him, I'm the devil for trying to discuss it with him. SMH. Honestly, that's tragic. I am really sorry to hear that. Like, I can hardly imagine what that feels like, but it must be kind of depressing. DM Lagoon knows what that's like. He's got somebody close to him who's a flat earther. But I don't want to share more about that than you'd want me to share, DM Lagoon. Yeah, he agrees with Hatter's House. So what's going on here? Freeze in the chat still. Yes, air's refractive index is not same in the atmosphere. It is alone. That doesn't make sense. You know what? Is 5 still here? He requested earlier, and I do remember him from last time. I think we had a good conversation, so he'd be welcome back. And Lawn Dart says, Free will just steal all your material. I mean, he did try to steal my time lapse. That was pretty interesting. It didn't work out too well for him. I mean, I don't want to say if you're going to do wrong, be more clever about it, because the thing is, you just shouldn't do wrong. Like, you shouldn't be dishonest, you shouldn't lie, you shouldn't steal. Like, that's the thing. It's almost a good thing for his soul that he was so stupid about it, you know? Because he got caught and he faced consequences, and maybe that means he can learn from it. It's the people who get clever enough that they can dodge consequences that continue down that path and become worse and worse and worse. And God save those people. I mean, wow. How's my sound, by the way? I was tweaking the levels earlier on last night's live, or whenever that was. Team Narca says, Peter, you think the flat Earth thing is finally dying out compared to previous years? I mean, definitely, TFE definitely did a serious blow to it. And MC Toon is constantly observing. It's kind of gone through a major distillation process. So the flat earthers that are left now are the flat earthers who are willing to say, you know, based on the flimsiest possible excuse, that major, you know, people in the community like Jaron Campanella, Austin Whitsitt, MC Toon, and Dave McKeegan, and all of those people, like, that they're all just complete liars. They're willing to lie about Will Duffy. They're willing to make up just slanderous misinformation about him. Like, you know, those are kind of the flat earthers that are left. Or else, you know, some of them say, oh, TFE was real, but it doesn't matter because, you know, we don't make any claims, or we don't claim a map. Like, okay, but that's such an irrational position that you kind of still have to be a pretty extreme, you know, conspiratorial mind for that to still be appealing. So, like, it's gone through a distillation process. Whether it's on its way to dying yet now, I don't know. That would be nice. I mean, it's just a pack of embarrassing lies, so it would be nice if it died. If all the people who are in Flat Earth right now can, like, sort of wake up and smell the roses and get on with their lives, that would be nice. Free. He's asking if I'm gonna let him up. Good question. I mean, it's tempting only because I don't have any other guests right now. I hate to, like, use him as a way of, like, getting more interesting content. You know, there does come a point where I'd pretty much just rather my lives be boring and not get views, and, like, you know, my content not grow, or my channel not grow, rather than entertaining and platforming and enduring more bullying and guerrilla tactics. Because I don't really trust Free. I'm sorry, Free. At the moment, I still don't really trust you. So if I did let you on, it would basically be, you know, okay, forget the truce zone, forget the rules about guerrilla tactics. I'm going to let a guerrilla warrior on here and then just try to keep him contained and babysit him. That's what this would be. Oh, 5 is back. Okay, so forget that question. Sorry, Free. Maybe another day.
What question was that?
The question of whether to let Free back up as a guest.
Oh, hell no. Oh, that's funny. Nah, it's cool, man. Free's my boy, right? But yeah. Anyways, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Blessed.
Same.
Blessed, brother. Hey, so I seen a video right earlier. I thought it'd be interesting to see uh what you knew.
Now,
So it was
just for my education, I'm sorry. Remind me, are you a flat earther?
yes.
Okay, I remembered
Well,
us having a
both.
relatively
I'm
good
both.
conversation. I just couldn't remember the details.
So I'm both, right? Like I told you, right now I'm in between them, and that I was
Right.
trying to figure everything out for myself. And you were telling me, well, I've kind of had some bad experiences with people that say that, so I'm a little eerie. And then at the end,
Oh yeah.
it
Okay.
was all. You
Yeah,
remember
because
that?
like I've never seen any merit rationally, logically, or evidentially to flat Earth whatsoever. Zero. Like, and I think I told you that last time. Was that is that right? Um,
Yeah,
I showed you my
yeah,
sunset experiment and
yeah.
explained about it being sunset denial.
Right. And then I was talking to you about the attitude
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, it's all coming back. Thank you.
Um. Okay. So I seen a video earlier today, and the reason why I requested and then dipped out was because I didn't want to come up here and sound like a fucking idiot, right? So I went to go like just look up some things real quick, so
Okay,
I was a little bit knowledgeable.
that's fair.
But basically, the video was showing perspective from a flat Earth, right? And it was showing like different longitude, latitude. So one person was hypothetically at the Tropic of Cancer, one was hypothetically at the Tropic of Capricorn. And the way the diagram is set up is so that you see the flat earth, you see the firmament, and then it shows a small bubble from the perspective of the person as they're looking up at the stars, right? And everywhere it was showing the perspective from both sides uh, of the equator, so that both the tropics, they see the same rotation. Does Am I drawing any sense there? Now, this is just what the video was showing me. So that's why I went to go try to look some shit up because
Yeah,
I
it
didn't want to
sounds a
come up
little
with.
similar to what I've heard or seen of flat earthers talking about like a personal
Right.
dome of vision or an azimuthal grid of vision, where they basically
Right,
try to put
right.
another layer of like uh, another layer of celestial mechanics or celestial geometry over top of each individual observer,
Yes,
which
exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean to me that seems just like a plainly ad hoc rescuing device with so there's a specific set of criteria I use when I talk about rescuing devices, right? There's number one is that it's usually entirely speculative. It has no positive evidence driving you toward it, only negative evidence chasing you toward it. I phrased that wrong. No positive evidence pulling
Oh,
you toward it,
I
only
mean,
negative evidence
yeah.
chasing you toward it. Make sense?
Okay.
Um,
Kind of. If you can elaborate just a little bit on it.
I'll go ahead and
I kind of think I know what you're
I got my
saying,
kitty
but
here. Don't show them your body. I'm
dude, I just got my cat back today, bro. Tigger, my boy, man.
um, yeah. So like, an example of negative evidence chasing you towards something is like the evidence I showed you at last time you were on, right? That my own personal observation of sunset showing that the sun moves down, not away, according to perspective. So, knowing this, I don't think he saw my personal evidence, but it's it's evidence anybody can look at. Um, Anybody like it's been a thing that's been known. So like Rob Skiba some years ago, before he died, and I think it was like 2021 or 22. He was a major flat earther. I don't know if you've heard of him. He tried to answer this problem of sunsets on flat Earth by talking about atmospheric magnification. And he created this whole setup of like a Fresnel lens on a table or a desk or whatever, and like moving it, and like if you looked at it at just the right angle, it kind of looked like the sun was setting, even though he was moving it away across the table. Anyway, that was a contrived setup. He had a conclusion in mind, and he was trying to make that conclusion work somehow.
He
He
was trying
didn't
to
go
achieve
out and take measurements of the sun. He didn't go
unbiased.
out and take measurements of the atmosphere. That wasn't how his hypothesis was born. His hypothesis was born out of a desire to fix the problem that evidence was creating for his beliefs, right? So that's negative evidence chasing him, not positive evidence pulling him. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely, them.
Another
Absolutely.
thing, so that's number one about rescuing devices. There's two other criteria.
And that makes sense. That would make sense. It's
Yeah.
basically like you're looking for the answer. You're gonna find it, bro. Like
Right,
you're gonna
because
make it work.
you can speculate anything you want, you know? You could
Right.
speculate that like we're in a simulation and every perception of our eyes and ears is just somehow wrong or artificial and like there's anything you can speculate on without any evidence. If you're not bound by evidence, then you can say anything you want.
Right.
So number two is that rescuing devices are often they often contradict something else that's been said or some other part of the model or the theory farther up or down the line. So like Rob Skiba's atmospheric magnification thing, for example, if you work it out logically, it requires that essentially we can't trust the measurements we take of anything in the sky because there could be some gigantic barometric lens in the way that are making things appear in completely the wrong place at completely the wrong size. So then, what about all those long distance observations that flat earthers say, like about the globe, saying, oh, this means that we see too far and there's missing curvature? Well, what happened to the idea of atmospheric magnification? You see what I mean? It's like he puts it in where he wants it and then takes it out where he doesn't want it. And that's a
And look,
hallmark.
I can admit to you, bro. I do notice that a lot with flat earthers,
Yeah.
right? I'm not down talking flat earthers, right?
Right.
But I do notice that a lot with them specifically, right?
Yeah.
Is that they will do that. Exactly what you're explaining, bro. They will
Yeah.
create that.
So that's another hallmark of a rescuing device. And another example is the coffee cup caustic thing, like saying that the 24-hour sun in Antarctica can be explained by like light reflecting off of the dome. But like, we never see two suns, so it's and maybe I'm not explaining that very well, but you probably get the gist. Like that's
Well, for some weird reason, right? I have seen a video of a dude that showed two suns. However, that's not enough proof for me to be like.
well, I can almost guarantee one of them was just a lens flare. I think I've seen videos
Right.
like that from flat earthers.
And I wouldn't doubt that, bro. I'm not down that at all. But like I have
Yeah.
seen like weird shit. So
Yeah, often it's pretty evident to me when flat earthers like show evidence or make claims about that evidence that it's basically just them misunderstanding photography, and it's just like I look at it and instantly know, okay, that's just a lens flare.
right.
That happens a lot.
So it was the video I was watching was from Eric Dubay. Have you heard of him?
Oh yeah, he's a big fat
Okay.
liar. I mean, I don't have any
watched
qualms
the
about
two-
saying
I
that.
mean,
He's a very dishonest person.
I watched the debunked the 200 flat Earth theories debunked from Dubay. So I watched both sides, his video and then the debunked side.
That's good. I commend you for that. Like even just
Yeah.
being willing to face that other side of things, that's good. That's
Right.
what we need more of.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I ended up having this question at.
So number 3 about rescuing devices is just often, even if you ignore the other things that it contradicts, it's self-contradictory. It's internally incoherent all by itself. So the classic example again is the atmospheric magnification of Rob Skiba. The thing is, the atmosphere doesn't magnify images if you're looking horizontally through the atmosphere. That's not how optics works. there is some looming of things moving upward, because the if you think about what magnification is, like take any lens, like of a camera or a magnifying glass or something. That lens has a certain shape and structure to it that's required for it to function as a magnifier, right? It's got an axis through the middle, and it is radially symmetrical usually around that
Right. I
axis.
understand that concept. Yeah, it
So
alters the
yeah, so like that means there's an axis and there's usually edges, right? Because you can't just taper off indefinitely. I mean, I guess you could, but that would create its own warping effects that you would notice. So like you have an axis and you have seams somewhere. You know, on a magnifying glass, there's the edge of the magnifying glass. On a camera, there's the edges of the frame. Magnification requires an axis and edges or seams. So in the case of Rob Skiba's atmospheric magnification, where's the axis and where's the seams? You
right.
literally cannot, physically cannot, design or build an optical system that would magnify images in all directions, even just horizontally. If we ignore vertically, just horizontally, you cannot magnify images from all those horizontal directions the same way all at once for all observers. It just doesn't work. You'd have seams. You'd have axes that you could point to and identify. Like, oh, this is where this magnification area ends, and this next magnification area begins.
Right.
Because the axis for one is pointing over here, which means it can't magnify images in that direction. You need a different magnification area with the axis pointing over here, and then a seam in between. Like, it just doesn't work. And so that's an illustration of the third aspect of a rescuing device, that it's internally incoherent. It just doesn't even work. It's broken. And so the azimuthal grid of vision or personal dome thing that I've seen, which sounded similar to what you were saying, it's got all three of those problems. There's no positive evidence pulling you toward it. There's only negative evidence chasing you, right? So like you wouldn't start from the evidence with no preconceptions and just say, gee, this evidence makes me think maybe we've got a personal dome of vision. Like that's not how anybody's thinking about this.
Yeah.
And then it also contradicts other things, like what about cell nav? How do we do celestial navigation if there's this layer of nonsense in between us and the stars that confound our ability to use them for geometry and navigation? You know, and then the third layer is like it doesn't even work, because like what are the rules for how this layer of personal dome like bends light? You know, how does it know that when you're in the southern hemisphere the sun needs to rise and set south of due east and due west? Like what the heck? Why is it doing that? It just doesn't make sense, you know, if you work it out mathematically and logically.
Because it's its own artificial intelligence. No, just kidding.
Yeah, it would almost have to be like you almost get into like simulation theory, where each person just has their own personal like engineered experience to make it look like a globe, when in reality it's like reality, you know, quotes around reality if it's a simulation. Like at one point, what does it even mean for you to claim that it's flat? Like if the simulation perfectly matches a globe and you're just positing this magical rescuing device to make it look like it's flat, and that rescuing device is being maintained and operated by a system, like what are we doing here?
Hey, remember we were talking to your boy, because he was a physicist, wasn't he? And I was telling him that was my belief, that I think we're in a simulation.
QFT enjoyer? Are you talking about him?
I don't remember. He was like a real, because I was talking about quantum physics.
Yeah. QFT enjoyer.
He was cool though. He was hella chill, bro. He was cool.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's a good friend. But he's like an actual expert. I mean, I I don't know if I'd call him my boy. Like he's he's almost being nice to me by giving me attention and stuff, like, because he actually works in a field of science, like professionally. So that's cool that he's willing to wade into these arenas and give us insight and stuff. That's nice.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah. But yeah, so if you remember, that was kind of actually, I was saying that as of right now, but that's starting to change again too, because the more I'm learning, it's not even how we perceive it. It's just how our eyes, we can't see curvature because we're so small compared to the curvature. But because at first, if you remember, I was thinking, well, it's flat, and then as we move away, we observe it differently, and it forms into the sphere, right? And as we come into it, I was telling you, it's almost like a video game. I feel like it actually flattens out. But again, there's like more shit I'm learning. The more shit I learn, it doesn't look good, man. It just doesn't look good. Because even the water, the level, if you look up with the word level, it does not mean flat.
Right.
Level just it like water actually makes like a little bubble, right? And so
The
what's
meniscus.
happening, right? What's happening is that the gravity is pulling it down from all directions. So it's just trying to find the center. And that's the reason why it's able to curve around the ball, right? Is because it's finding the center of the pull, the downward vector. So it's going to all in every direction that it's in. That's why it is curving and it is flat at the same time. It appears flat to our eyes, but it curves.
Yeah. So if you were
That's
to,
that was crazy. Like looking all that up earlier, that was crazy to me because I'd never heard that yet. No one has really been able to explain it the way I was researching it.
do you see what I'm doing here? If you were to
What's
take,
that?
like somehow take a picture with
He
a
said he's
small
not a
enough
flat
camera.
earther, just a young kid looking to fight on TikTok. Why would I not be a flat earther? Look, I'm Native American, right? So my tribe believes in the winter solstice, summer solstice. So my ethnicity, right, derives from a flat Earth theory. Automatic. That's my culture. However,
Now wait
I
a
have
minute. What's wrong with a winter and summer solstice on a globe?
nothing. Nothing's wrong with that, right? It's my tribe for thousands of years only lived in a small reservation, and so to them, right, the Earth was that area.
Okay.
That's all they knew. And they based these things. So every winter solstice, we do prayers to the sun and the moon. So we worshiped those things as gods. We worshiped different things, but my tribe specifically didn't believe there was a globe. We thought we were small and on a flat plane. And so culturally, right, we do sweat lodges and traditional like prayer ceremonies, and they're based around flat Earth, if that makes sense. The
Okay, but
stories that where we derive from, right, where we come from, comes from a flat Earth theory. So that's part of like my culture and where I come from. Does that make sense?
yeah, but let me show you something. Because I can almost guarantee you that your ancestors did not believe in the same model that modern flat earthers do.
I didn't say that. I just said they believed in we were on a flat plane.
Yeah,
We
but
lived on a
like,
flat plane.
I think this is important, right? This distinction, because it makes the difference between
Yes.
simple ignorance of other areas of the world or of modern science, which is understandable, right? Versus active science denial, right? So, like, um, if you look at any ancient flat earth culture, and I would be willing to bet that includes yours, when the sun sets, they believe that it's either, going outside the earthly realm or underneath the earth or something to that effect, where it's nighttime for all mankind at once, right? And that's
Right.
where I've got in this Venn diagram, you see like ancient cosmologies here on the right, they explain sunset, and they are a flat Earth cosmology, but they don't explain the time zone concept, right? The fact that it
No,
can be
look.
day at night.
So what I'm saying is culturally, that's my background, and as obviously I have my own brain, I'm doing research, I'm like
Uh-huh.
looking things up that I'm starting to see. Like, okay, well, this wouldn't make sense, but culturally, because old boy made the comment like, well, he's not a real flat earther. Well, I really am a real flat earther, right? Because culturally, that's who I am. But I also have a fucking brain, and I
Mm-hmm.
can look at things for myself, right? So, not to disrespect ceremonies or culture, my cultural views. That's why I say I'm a flat earther, but I'm also a realist, bro, of what's really going on here. Like, what am I really looking at? What's the real math? What's the real evidence? What's real,
Yeah. Okay.
And so the more I'm looking at, the more I see that, things don't look that good for flat earth right now.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to tell you is basically if you're going to reject something about your ancestors' cosmology, don't reject the sunset. Because
Right.
that's real
Well, they
science.
were right.
They were
Right.
right about sunset.
Right.
And if you're gonna instead, like, if you're gonna cling to flat Earth and instead reject sunset, then that puts you in a position that is actually far less rational, than their cosmology. So you're kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, in my opinion, if you did that, because robothemism is completely irrational science denial. It has nothing going for it at all. Ancient cosmologies, like your ancestors, that's respectable. If they believed that the Earth is flat because it locally seems to be flat, and then they watch a sunset, they see the sun goes below eye level, and they think, oh, that must mean it's gone for all mankind until
Right.
sunrise. Like that's
That's what my
understandable.
right.
You
They
know,
they thought that when the sun was gone, that it left, it went
yeah,
under the
that's
plane.
that's following the evidence of our eyes. That's respectable.
They
Robothemism
also
isn't
believed
based on the evidence
Bigfoot
of
was real.
anyone's eyes.
Hey, my tribe believed Bigfoot was real too. So I don't know, bro.
I mean, like, folklore is different than science denial, though.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's just completely different. I mean,
It's to kind of the reason I even say it is to kind of show you, like, man, where their mentality was at wasn't quite there yet. You know what I'm saying?
well, I again, like, let's not dunk on him too much. Like the
No, no, no. I love my people for sure. They were very intelligent
yeah,
and very, very sophisticated. Just when it comes to this earth stuff, even us now, look at all the utensils and tools we have, and we're still arguing and debating about it. So it's like, imagine then they had no phones, no internet, no telescopes, no, my people were very savage.
I don't know if I like that word.
What I meant by savage is like they were very like civil. They were not
I
part of
just
civilization.
just
Like they
this
weren't.
past week, I read something that a white man did to a Native American that I would classify as savage. Like in the
What's that?
1800s or something, maybe the 1900s. I don't remember exactly when, but it was so horrifying. It actually made me cry. Just this
It
past
was.
week, it was like, so we're all capable of being savage, like just because they don't have like technology or medicine or something doesn't mean that like we can make a value judgment about their culture. I really don't know if I would agree with that.
I heard a crazy statement. I guess when Columbus made a statement about the natives he encountered, he said these are amazing, beautiful people, and like he went on and on to talk about how great they were, and then at the end he says they would make uh, great slaves, and I was like, oh my god, dude,
That's
that
Columbus for you.
explains it. That explains everything right there, bro. Like
Yeah.
there it is.
I mean, I'm as patriotic as they come, or at least I used to be when I was raised. Like, obviously, I'm white, I'm European, like, and and I was raised thinking that America was a Christian nation and all that. But um, I was reading in the past few years, I was reading where did things go wrong, right? Because I was taught some history about the Pilgrims and how they befriended some Native Americans, and it was like there was this actual friendship between them and cooperation, and that was so beautiful and so wonderful. And it's like, what happened? And it seemed like somebody at one point just turned up dead, and people started pointing fingers. Some people said one thing, some people said another, and somebody was like tried and convicted and executed for this murder that they couldn't really solve. And from there, trust just kind of crumbled and broke down, and because of the superior military power that Europeans had and the superior numbers as they continue to, you know, gush over from Europe, it just eventually. And of course there's all kinds of other things that are involved in the history. I'm not trying to be reductionist or dismissive about actual atrocities that were committed by Europeans. I'm just thinking at least if you look at that microcosm, it's really just a tragedy, an absolute tragedy in my opinion, what happened in the colonial era. It's an absolute tragedy.
Like they, I don't know how aware you are of that, era. Not to get off subject, but they used to put a, a blood nickel. That's what they called it, a blood nickel, on every scalp that was peeled of a Native American. So they would pay you if you scalped one of us and then brought them that scalp. They would give you a nickel. But back then, a nickel was a lot, so it was called the
Yeah.
blood nickel.
And of course, you could say, well, Native Americans are sometimes scalping the Europeans, but it's that's how it works with human conflict. One person
Self-defense. Yeah.
escalates in retaliation against the other person, and then they retaliate back, and et cetera, escalation until suddenly we're in the
A war.
1960s with the Cold War, threatening to annihilate the entire species with nukes. It's all right, guys, we gotta
Sit
figure
down.
out some
Yeah.
way to de-escalate here.
Yeah. We need to
So
sit down and talk.
yeah, so I appreciate you five. Thanks for being on. Not that
Yeah,
I'm
man.
kicking you off.
No,
Anybody
no, no.
else
Go
want
ahead.
to
I got
join
a
up?
shit to do anyway. Go ahead, bro. Appreciate you. All right.
I don't have any guests at the moment. I was just checking to see if anybody else wanted.
It's all right. I gotta go do something right now anyway.
Okay. Well, thanks for
All
joining.
right.
That was a good conversation. I appreciate you.
Hell yeah. All right, bro.
Yeah. So live will end in 5 minutes if I don't solve the puzzle. People on YouTube can see this. You guys on TikTok probably can't. Have to prove I'm still awake. I think it's because it's not detecting mouse input on that window, even though I've got mouse input everywhere else. Whatever. Seems like a poor design. Okay, so what's going on here? I did miss earlier. YouTube, Hatter's House was saying the only place I see two suns is on Tatooine. I appreciate that joke. Star Wars reference there. If there was a dome, we would detect it. Yep. If our eyes created curvature, we would never see straight lines. That's Max on YouTube saying that. Very true. Tim Davis just did a wrench emoji. Look, I'm a mod. My YouTube chat seems tame enough at the moment. I can kind of get away with not having mods there. Although I should probably, now that I see Max and Dvids here, I should probably mod them. Add as moderator. just go ahead and give you full mod privileges. And then same with dvids. Add as moderator. Oh, and is your guy. Do you want to be a moderator, is your guy? Too bad. You're a moderator. Okay, so how long have I been live? We got like an hour left. Fight the Globe Earth? No, you are not getting mod powers. What's going on here? Helping Flat Earthers sent me a bunch of roses. Thank you so much, Helping Flat Earthers. I don't know, like, if all of those were kind of at the same time or if you kept trickling in, but thank you. Blue Wrench of Shame? Oh no, he's your guy. I didn't mean to shame you. It was meant to be an honor. Fight the Globe Earth, otherwise Peter can live in his fairy tale. You know, fight the Globe Earth. I don't care for your attitude. You're kind of a troll. I do remember you breaking my live rules on the first time I was live. Or whatever. What's going on here? Oh, I'm not looking at my guest requests. Hold on. None right now. Well, we gotta get some Flat Earthers in here. Get them requesting. Fight the Globe Earth. You are not gonna be my mod. I don't want to hear it again. Did I fix my sleep schedule? That would be a no. It is just as bad now as it has been. I keep like almost fixing it, and then it's just like completely undone all my progress. It's a struggle. Hitcore says, what if we are living in a simulation? Would globe versus flat still be a discussion? Well, you know, the thing is, like, I mean, at that point, it's a little bit more abstract. Like, you'd have to basically say, what is this simulation modeling? But there is a very clear answer to that, because we have evidence, whether that's evidence inside the simulation about the simulation, or whether that's evidence of a real world that is not in a simulation. Either way, there is still a clear winner and a clear loser in the question of what is the model here. You know, which model best matches the evidence that we observe with our eyes. So, like, it would still be a discussion. It just wouldn't be exactly 100% the same discussion, or at least it wouldn't be a discussion with exactly 100% the same implications. But, I mean, I don't think there's any evidence for simulation theory either, so. Fight the Globe Earth wants $200 an hour for a debate? What? Is your guy saying that on YouTube? Is your guy say that on TikTok? I wonder how many people have taken him up on that. Yeah, probably none. That seems like you'd have to kind of be an idiot to fall for that. Charles Arnold says, Hitcore, why wouldn't it be? Do you think the Flat Earth movement is proof we aren't in a simulation? Hitcore says, good answer, I agree, was just wondering. Yeah, Charles Arnold, I don't think that's what Hitcore was getting at. I think he was just, exploring the question. Katie says, is the simulation running on Windows or Mac or a Raspberry Pi? Probably none of those, because it has a density of information that would, by all accounts, require a Dyson sphere, just for the sheer amount of energy. And last time I checked, they don't have an edition of Windows or Mac that would run on a Dyson sphere. um, a Dyson sphere is a hypothetical system in the first place. It doesn't really exist. It's just pure imagination. But Katie waves. Katie. That's my wife, everybody. She's wonderful. DM Lagoon says, so what is the next step in being able to defeat religifleurs? I don't know. I mean, I do my best by teaching them about Bible hermeneutics and basically helping to properly define the categories so that they realize, that most of the verses they use are phenomenological, and in order to establish their model, they would actually need a verse supporting robothemism, because they're trying to piggyback off ancient models that don't agree with their model, and the Bible actually contradicts their model. Jesus said in Matthew 5:45, he said, God makes his sun rise on the just and the unjust. Well, rise means move upward, right? So that doesn't happen on a robothemist model. This one right here. So Jesus said this model is wrong. And then Paul again in Ephesians 4:26, he said, "Do not let the sun go down on your anger." So both Jesus and Paul say this model is wrong. You could argue with scholars like Michael Heiser, okay, did the Bible represent ancient Near East cosmology, that believed the Earth was flat? There's a whole Wikipedia article on biblical cosmology written with scholarly citations and everything. I believe that's all coming from a historical critical approach that I disagree with. But at least it's valid insofar as it goes. But that's the ancient Near East model, which is explicitly non-robothemist. Flat Earthers can't logically or rationally use any of that. Even though they try. They basically conflate and equivocate and hope you don't notice. So there's zero support from any educated resource or source on their model from the Bible. So that's kind of where I try to take it as far as religifleurs go. Where was that? I'm trying to remember who asked about religifleurs. Oh, DM Lagoon said that on YouTube. Hatter's House says, "Oh, okay, gotta go. See you next one. May the force be with you always." Thanks. Oh, that's because it's May 4th right now. Or wait, well, in some parts of the world, it's a few hours left on May 3rd where I am. Yeah, I guess happy early Star Wars Day, whatever. I was never a huge Star Wars fan. It's alright. I was actually a little bit bigger Star Trek fan, but even that I had irritations that I felt about Star Trek and stuff. Oh, Katie says maybe it's a Dyson vacuum. Like a Dyson brand vacuum cleaner. Lucas Boffin says, I want to know your opinion about a lot. Upward is related to gravity on Earth. Upward means pushing away from gravity, so it does not prove nothing. What are you getting at, Lucas? Max says, from Heiser's website, anyone who uses my work to prop up his idea without providing a disclaimer that I reject modern flat earth thinking is unprincipled and deliberately dishonest. Yes, thank you for that, Max. I appreciate you citing that. Michael Heiser had some very harsh words to say against modern flat earthers. I think that comes from a blog entry that was titled People Who Believe or maybe it was Christians who believe the earth is really flat. Does it get any dumber than this? That was Michael Heiser who typed that as the title on his blog entry. Although I think even so, he still didn't realize the sharp distinction that I try to explain between robothemism and ancient cosmologies, like the ones he was talking about. I think if he had realized that distinction, then he would have probably slightly adjusted his attacks on Flat Earth to be much more like targeted. But alas, he died of cancer before the conversation developed to that point. So Jack Thrax is requesting to join here. Let's see what Jack Thrax has to say. Oh, thank you for that link on YouTube, Max. So Jack Thrax, how's it going?
Hi, Peter. How you doing?
I'm good.
So, I have a picture that's pretty interesting, and it seems to suggest a firmament.
Okay, you want to show it?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, that is a little bit of a weird phenomenon, but my immediate question is, like, what's the source of that photo? Like, can we establish for sure that that's not photoshopped, you know? And if so, then what are... Mr. McGregor says that's water. That was my first thought, but I did also notice, like, we've got, like, telephone poles and stuff and trees down here, which kind of make it look like that's in the sky, but let's see. What happens if I Google... I wish I don't know Windows very well. I'm a Linux guy, so I don't know how to take a screenshot of that and reverse image search, but... Okay, double sun, Sri Lanka. What sources can we find on that? Okay, I found a source about a double sunrise in Sri Lanka that is completely different. Open a new tab. Sorry, I'm just doing some research. Maybe I could show on my screen here. Let's see. I'm gonna shrink you and put on my screen for a second. That's the same thing that was on Wikipedia. Here, I'll show you guys for a second because I wasn't showing you before. This is the Wikipedia article I just found, but I think that's different because look, right here it's showing the double is like horizontal, not vertical. So this must be something different, I'm thinking.
That's a reference to a long flight where you can see the sun twice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for that. That seems plausible. So, okay, here is an image that looks similar. Spectacular double sun phenomenon captured at Czech Lapkok Airport. What does this source have to say about it? Ugh, this website looks ad heavy. I mean, is it even gonna load? Good grief. X. Alright. Oh my gosh. This is annoying. Can I just remove this? That's not helpful. Sorry guys, 1 second. Just trying to get at this.
Yeah, no worries, bro.
Ah! That's not what I meant to do. Darn it. Okay. I'm trying to delete the ad from the DOM. I'm fighting. How far up does this go? Good grief. Because it won't give me an X, right? Oh, there's an X. Okay, there we go. All right. And shoot, now it won't let me scroll. Okay, clearly this was... How about this source? It looks a little different. More ads. Good grief. Okay. On the evening of June 15th, an unusual phenomenon was captured. Photos showed two suns in the sky, one above another, which left many people puzzled and amazed. Former assistant director of the Hong Kong Observatory stated that it was neither a sundog nor a light pillar. He had never seen this before and was stumped by the mystery of the double suns. According to a Facebook post by a netizen, the phenomenon was likely related to water vapor reflection. The photos show a hazy sky with two suns stacked on top of each other. You know what I wish they would have done is taken close-up photos of these with a solar filter where they could like actually see the sunspots. If that was possible on the virtual sun right here. Because you can see like right here, let's see, open image in new tab, zoom in a little. If you look closely, you can see the top one is less distinct than the bottom one. So this is not two suns. Like obviously the top one is a virtual image of the bottom one. It's more blurry, it's dimmer, it's a little wobbly, like it's clearly a virtual image. The question is it a refraction or a reflection? You know, and exactly what are the conditions that cause this? So what I was saying...
Shiny,
oh,
I think it's shining through the firmament. It's shining through the firmament. It's giving another image, right? It only happens when the sun goes down.
Well, can you even find an example of this happening a second a time? Because this seems like it was so rare it made headlines.
I have a I found a Qantas pilot's like personal photos that flew that same route that you first brought up, which is called the double sun route. And
yeah, but that's...
he also took pictures of it, even though he's talking about the double sun route. He also said that you can also see the phenomena in the sky, and he had seen it in the sky before too.
Oh, good grief! Sorry, guys.
I got his pictures of it too, which are not as good as this picture. This one is really like it hammers it home, you know. But I can show you the other ones too. I think I still have them on this phone. I'd have to look for them. But basically, if we understand that it's a real phenomena, then it's just a matter of trying to figure out why it happens.
Yeah, well, it's not a firmament. Like that's pretty much an explanation that doesn't, you know, support any of the evidence. I think. That seems like you're just saying that because you want it to be a firmament. Like, why would it be a firmament?
Because the firmament would have to be thicker around the edges of the flat Earth.
Okay.
And
well, you're just saying that it wouldn't have to be.
Too,
like you're just saying
well,
that.
It has to be because everything is denser also down closer to the ocean, right? So every layer of the firmament is going to be denser all the way to that sun. And so I think that's why we see the double sun phenomena happen, is because at times you can see it, the firmament actually showing a reflection of the sun. That's what I think. I mean,
but you're just saying that. Like there's no actual evidence to support that.
Well, the evidence we have is the photo right here, but what do you think it is?
Well, I just said earlier it's either a refraction or a reflection, probably a reflection.
Okay. So if it's a refraction though, would you say the sun that is higher in the picture is the real sun and
no,
the sun below it?
I clarified that too. It's the top one that's the virtual sun, the reflection. It's the bottom one that's real, and you can tell because the top one is blurrier, dimmer, and more wobbly, which are exactly what we expect from a virtual image, like a reflection or refraction.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet
I think it's the other way around, because the sun is moving away from the flat Earth. So why would the reflection go up in the firmament? It doesn't make any sense.
That's just you.
They go the other way.
That's just you basically going against the evidence and saying, well, I interpret it this way because that works better on my model.
No,
that
I have some more photos of the same phenomena, and it doesn't only show up underneath, like in a vertical position. Most of the time, it shows up side by side.
well, that would be a completely different phenomenon.
It's the same thing because it only happens when the sun goes down, right before the sun,
That's not
goes
sufficient to
away.
establish that it's the same phenomenon.
Well, it looks identical to this, except for where the sun's position is. I mean, it's either
That,
side
by
by side or.
definition, is not identical. That's actually completely different because in the atmosphere, vertical and horizontal are fundamentally different, and we know this because when we measure the density of the atmosphere, it changes vertically but not horizontally as much.
Oh yeah, I
That's a
know, but
defining trait of
yeah,
the atmosphere. So
yeah, okay, but think of it this way: if the vertical suns are in the same, say, ducting of the atmosphere, it doesn't matter if they're side by side or vertical. That whole ducting right there, that whole area is the same density.
no, I don't agree with that.
You don't think so?
No, I
Because
mean that's not what.
from the water up to the top of the top sun, I mean, what could that distance possibly be? 9 miles, 10 miles?
Oh, that's a wild speculation. We don't really know. It depends on how far away from the camera lens it is, and probably between the top of the virtual sun and the bottom of the virtual sun, across this reflection surface could be a distance of hundreds of miles for all we know. Like the top would be closer and the bottom would be farther away if we're looking at the underside of a reflection surface. We just don't know. There's no way to measure that from the photo or
Well,
determine that at all.
they give you the location that they took the photo from. It's
Yeah,
from an
that's
airport. And so
that's
if you look it up on Google Maps and then look at where the sun is on the horizon, you could actually do the angles and figure it out. That the difference is I'm probably pretty close on about 9 or 10 miles up.
no, you can't establish
It's
that
not
from
a
a
hundred
photo.
miles.
You don't
Yeah, it's
have
not a
enough.
100 miles.
You don't have enough info from a photo like this to make that determination.
Well, I mean, okay, I know, but from the airport to the horizon can only be 10 miles, 11 miles, something like that.
Well, that doesn't
It
matter.
can't be further than that.
Why would that
I
matter?
mean, so you have your basic geometry. You should be able to figure out,
No,
how
you're making all kinds of
it is.
assumptions about where this is. Like, how do you know this reflection surface right here is anywhere near the same distance from the camera lens as the horizon that you're talking about calculating? You don't know that.
Well, you can see the horizon in the picture. So how
That doesn't
far is the
matter.
horizon?
You can see all kinds of things at all kinds of different distances in the picture because that's how
Yeah, I know.
perspective works. So, like, why would it
Right.
be the same distance? You're just making that as an assumption.
No, I'm saying this is your evidence. How do you put it together to figure out how high that sun is in the sky?
You can't. That's what I'm saying. You don't have enough info. Like, you can
You got
make
to be
a
able to ballpark it.
what?
You got to be able to ballpark it. I mean, you
No,
guys say you
that's
know
just
exactly
not
how far
correct.
the sun is away. I mean, according to you, the sun's what? How many? 920 million miles away or something?
93
How many
million
miles?
miles away.
Yeah, 93 million miles away, bro. I mean, so if it's 93 million miles away, I don't know what to tell you. I guess you're right. Maybe that is thousands of miles between those two suns if you look at it that way.
This is
But I
not
mean,
look, this top the reflection surface that's creating this image, that reflection surface is nowhere near the sun. Nowhere near it. That is just not required at all for the optics to work. Not even a little bit. Nowhere near it. If you
all right.
take
So you
if you t- if you take a like a mirror surface, right? Like I'm gonna hold my phone right next to the camera here, right, and make a reflection of my eyes. Right now, my eyes are not near my phone, right? But I'm holding the reflection surface in such a way as to make the virtual image of my eyes look near my eyes in the camera's eye. But that doesn't mean that my phone is near my eyes. That's just how the geometry of reflection works.
are you trying to say that this picture is someone holding up a mirror?
No, I'm saying there's a reflection surface in the atmosphere. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I mean, if that was the case, then okay. So you're saying the lower sun is the one that you think is the reflection, not the higher
No, the
one, or
lower
the other
one
way
is the
around.
real sun. The
Okay,
reflection
and
is
then
the top one.
refraction, and you believe that refraction most of the time goes upwards, and so that's why the sun's up there.
No, that's not what I said. I don't know exactly what conditions created this, but it looks to me like we're looking at the underside of a reflection surface that is, in the image at least, above the sun, which is creating a virtual image of the sun because the angles just happen to line up that way. That's what it looks like to me. But that has nothing to do with the fact that typically the atmosphere refracts images upward. That's not what that has nothing to do with that. These are just unique conditions. That's all it is.
Um, I wish I'd come back up with the pilot's book, and it's on the other phone, so I'm gonna drop down and I'll come back if you got time. I'll throw up some more pictures. You can see the other pictures that the Qantas pilot took, and he said this is a real phenomenon. It's not fake.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's real. I wasn't saying that it's fake.
All right. Yeah, I got to drop down because they're not
Okay.
on this phone, but I'll download them and I'll come back.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for presenting your evidence and thoughts. Even if I disagree, that was a polite conversation. I appreciate that. Lindsay Bowe says, same principle as rainbow ice crystals in the atmosphere. Yeah, very possibly. Charles Arnold says, not refraction, Peter, definitely reflection. Yeah, I was kind of leaning that way too. Miss Moody says, if it was a reflection off the firmament, wouldn't it be smaller than the actual sun? Yeah, fair point. Like, this is something that flat earthers don't seem to realize. When you have a reflection, it actually creates a virtual, like an actual location for the virtual image, right? So if you're in a public restroom, like let's say, or in your bathroom in your home, like, and there's a mirror on the wall, you can be in that room and look at your own reflection, and it looks like your reflection is in a certain location that is, back away from the mirror surface, like inside this virtual room that's behind the mirror, right? That geometry works. And so when you have a reflection with a virtual image, it actually has a virtual location in physical 3D space. But it may or may not be anywhere near the reflection surface, which is what I was demonstrating with my, phone there. What it does is it takes the incident angle of your line of sight to the reflection surface and just like reverses that across the surface normal of the reflection surface. And then if you follow it through the surface as though the surface was transparent instead of reflected to the same distance, the same overall distance as the light travels, then you reconstruct what your eyes are seeing, and you can find that virtual location of the virtual image. So the virtual sun in that picture was still 93 million miles away, but at a certain angle upward from the real sun. And similarly, like as Miss Moody is saying, if the sun is local, then the reflected surface would have to be at just the right spot relative to that sun in order for the distance to the virtual sun to work out to the exact same distance. Anyway, that's a bit complex to explain that geometry without a diagram. Oh, it thinks my live's gonna And again. Okay. IED NTR12B says, that's not real. Ask JT810. He explained it to him multiple times. So are you saying that picture was actually like fake? Is that what you're saying? The double sun is a flight where it's long enough. See, the guest was saying like that's yes, the double sun is a phenomenon where you're flying and you see the sunrise twice, but he's saying this is separate and it's a verified real phenomenon. I mean, is it? I don't know. Like, flat earthers are pretty bad at research. As you could see, I did better research in like 10 seconds while you were all watching and I was fighting with stupid ads on my browser than that flat earther was able to do in however long it took him. However long it took him to research that before he came up here with the evidence. IED HNTR12B says, yes, he lied to you. Oh boy. Gotta lie to Flurf, right? I mean, I have to go based on my collected experience, accumulative experience with flat earthers. I have to admit, yes, there is a better than 50% chance that guy was just lying. Because flat earthers are very often liars. I hate to say that. Like, I don't want to stereotype too much, but it's a thing. I don't know for sure, but like, if stereotyping is all we have, like, because we lack information, I wouldn't bet on it being real. He says, you're good, Peter. I enjoy all your content. It's easy to fall for. Yeah, I mean, I Googled it and found a news article, or what seemed to be a news article. Although the website was pretty sketchy, like you could see all those ads that were popping up. Like, I have no idea. Like, would a Western or a more like well-respected like news source pick up a news story like that from Sri Lanka? I don't know. Richard P. says there were 2 different articles. Yeah, there were, and like I couldn't even load the first one. I don't know. Azer Guy says, yeah, we intuitively assume the light we're seeing has traveled to us in a straight line. Yeah, that's like how our eyes are built to perceive it. But of course, like, we know intellectually, if you're not going to fail the mirror test, right, then you know that reflection is a thing. And this is maybe a fun little side trail we could go on. Mirror test. Let me show you guys this. Oh yuck! There's a yucky monkey butt on the screen. Don't pay attention to that. The mirror test, sometimes called the mark test, mirror self-recognition test, red spot technique, or rough test, is a behavioral technique to determine whether an animal possesses the ability of visual self-recognition. So the idea is like, you show an animal a reflection of itself and see if it can tell that it's a reflection instead of another animal. It's interesting, I think I've seen, like, cats, for example, sometimes fail the test and sometimes pass the test. It kind of, cats are, like, right on the edge there, where, some of them, the smarter cats will figure it out, and the dumber cats won't. Humans, obviously, most of us, almost all of us, I would say, understand when we look at a reflection of ourselves, it's just a reflection. However, I have heard artificial intelligence referred to as a mirror test, which is another subject, but a little bit of an analogy. It's not obviously not a physical mirror test, but like in an intellectual like analogous way. And I think that's an interesting comparison. AI is built, like the large language models, like they're built on input from humans, right? So then they're designed to like spit back out like what they think based on the input is going to be the next thing said. It's just basically a giant predictive text engine, or in the case of AI images or whatever, like a predictive image engine, whatever. But it's like you get what you put in, not identically, but recombined, recombobulated, like. But you can't, you're never going to get something truly original from an AI. It's always trained on input data. And so when an AI appears to seem intelligent or polite or logical or, any of those things, that's because it was trained on input data from humans being polite or intelligent or logical. So it's like a giant mirror test. And people are always like freaking out like, oh my goodness, this AI seems so human. It seems like it's actually self-aware. No, it's just imitating humans. Literally, physically. That is exactly what it's doing. It's imitating human behavior that it was trained on. So, anyway. So, Nature Guy says, we understand intellectually, but it's easy to trick the brain. Mirror therapy is an interesting example. Mirror therapy? Is Your Guy always comes up with the most interesting things for me to Google. I appreciate you, Is Your Guy. Mirror therapy. What the heck is this? Let's see. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. Mirror therapy is a technique used to treat conditions like phantom limb pain, stroke, and complex regional pain syndrome by creating an illusion of movement in the affected limb through a mirror. Huh. So it's like a neurological thing, basically. Right? Almost not psychological, like neurological. That is interesting. I don't know much about those fields, but seems interesting. Oh, we got Miss Moody requesting to join.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
I was looking into that image.
Oh yeah.
And I could find is that it was taken in Hong Kong, not Sri Lanka.
What? So the sources
Yeah,
were like the sources I saw were just wrong?
Well, the article that I found says that it was taken in Hong Kong, an airport in Hong Kong.
Huh. But like, was it an actual reflection of the sun, or was it Photoshop?
What I'm trying to figure out.
Huh. I wish I knew how on Windows like take a screenshot and reverse Google image search. Although I did end up finding the at least one other copy of that same image he was showing. So at least I guess I succeeded in that regard. Oh, there are people on YouTube saying they can barely hear you, Miss Moody. Am I saying that right, Miss Moody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But right there, there's this article I found. Right? It said it was captured at an airport.
Okay, I'll give you the big box.
Not Sri Lanka. So.
Oh, you know what? That might be the article I saw or something. Because I remember reading that name, Chep, whatever that was. Like.
I just wanted to come up here and say that.
Yeah, thank you. So somebody basically mislabeled the image that the guy, like my guest, was showing on his screen. They called it Sri Lanka when it wasn't.
Yeah, because I was looking at the Gleason map, and the flat earthers claim that the sun follows the Tropic of Capricorn, and the firmament, right? This is just me thinking out loud. The firmament, like the reflection, would have to be decently far away from the Tropic of Capricorn. So the reflection should be a little bit smaller, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because the light takes a longer path when it's reflected than if you're looking at the directly at the real sun. Yeah.
It visibly hits the same side.
So Chris Amy Reedy says, y'all be reading what the government puts out there and then say it's fact. No, that's not correct. We're just trying to research. You know, you have to take each source into account and weigh the quality of the source, right? So a news article that's from a actual established news outlet or journal is almost certainly going to be more reliable than a random flurf on TikTok, right? So that's just fact, you know, because flurfs on TikTok lie. In fact, I would rate the volume of lies to real facts from flurfs on TikTok to be north of 80% of their output. That's just not even remotely comparable to a news outlet or a journal, unless you're talking about rag mags or something like tabloids, right? And even they probably have a higher journalistic standard than flurfs. Just saying, right? So you gotta take into account the quality of your source. That's the issue. I'm peaking a lot. Should I turn my audio down? Let's see. Advanced audio properties. It's pretty much when I get animated and start yelling. How about I move it down by 2 decibels? Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. You can't trust those flirt. Okay, it still peaks sometimes. Oh well.
Yeah, I'm reading through the article and they say that they don't have an explanation for it. So I don't know. I just wanted to catch him in that live, but it wasn't show on testing.
Thank you. I appreciate your input. That was very helpful.
And I will drop down so someone else can come up if they want.
Okay. I'm gonna be live for only 10 or 20 more minutes. I maybe have time for one more guest, unless they're super quick or something. Jetlag says, yeah, flirts think that we know it's a globe because that's what we are told, not what we see. Yeah, they're just... The funny thing is, they think that about us because that's what they're told. That's the irony about it. And it's, okay, sure, it's right about some globers, and it's right about all globers with some things. Nobody's an expert in everything. That's how life works. You have to trust other people on things that you can't experience or know firsthand. That's how life works. If we didn't trust other people on some things, we wouldn't have a society. You know, Bob says, hey guys, my brother ate the green part of a tomato plant and he died, so don't eat the green part of a tomato plant. If every single person who heard Bob say that was like, nuh-uh, I want to try it for myself, they would all be dead, right? So we obviously trust other human beings. First, having a standard of requiring first-hand knowledge for everything is completely absurd. But, you know, if it's a thing that we have reasonable doubt on, then we should investigate deeper. And many globers do, and that's what flat earthers don't understand. I, for example, have done my own experiment, my own observation of sunset, measured it quantitatively, and completely falsified the idea that the sun is setting by moving away due to perspective. That is what all of modern flurfdom is built on. That's a pillar of their worldview, and it is completely false. You know, so at that point, all I have to do is say, okay, let's call somebody overseas, see if the sun is up for them while it's down for me. If so, it's a globe. That's the only model that still works on that. if I were to call somebody in England right now and find out that the sun is, well, I guess it would be dark for them right now, but like, let's say, like it's daytime, or maybe it's like the sun is just setting, and I call somebody that's like, 3,000 miles east of me and say, hey, where's the sun in your sky right now? And they say, oh, it's just setting for me too, and the sun sets at the same time for both of us, then that would be a problem for the globe, and maybe an ancient flat Earth model might be more viable where the sun goes underneath at night. But the idea that the sun is setting by moving away, that's just completely unsupported by the evidence. It's completely irrational. It's sunset denial. Okay, so Is Your Guy says, after a bit of research, it seems like there are a number of different observations of both vertical and horizontal sun mirages. It seems like a rare phenomenon, and we're not sure what causes it. There we go. Fair enough. And yeah, science doesn't know everything. Hold on, I'm getting a signal to look at my Discord. Check Cock Airport in Hong Kong. Took a few pictures and found this one different. At that time it was open air and glass was covered. Oh, okay. So my wife tracked down the original source, she says. It's a Facebook post by somebody in Hong Kong. Interesting. I'm trying to figure out the best way to show these on the screen. Open in browser, maybe? Yeah, that's a good way. Okay. So I'm going to put these on the screen. So we got Kakin Fong. I don't have lexical tones there, so sorry for butchering that. I took a few pictures and found this one different. Oh wait, this is the post. I guess that's comments under the post. So this is the post. I can't read that, but I guess it's a reflection of water vapor in the air. So it seems like it was her picture. Or his. I don't know why I assumed it was a woman. I don't know. Whoever that is, it's their picture. It seems like. And they commented, said, I took a few pictures and found this one different. At that time it was open air and glass was also covered. So as you can see, they took a series of photos, and this is the only photo that showed that anomaly. So it was very brief. However long it was in between these photos, and you can see the sun's not setting very far in between these photos. Maybe minutes between them at the most. So thank you for finding that, Katie. I'm sure some of the other people here found similar, so like, hopefully I'm not like, neglecting credit where credit's due. Got some independent, like simultaneous independent researching going on. Chris Amy Reedy, China's upside down. Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me. That's such a juvenile claim. Look. Okay, Chris Amy Reedy. This is so basic. How do you define up and down except by this? The direction things fall. How do you define it otherwise? In any physical sense? Okay, yeah, often if we show a picture of a globe, we show it with the North Pole at the top of the picture. That is not a physical definition of up and down. That's just an arbitrary convention for the way that we show pictures. That is not physical at all. That's just sociological. So in physical terms, there is no definition for up and down except for this one, right? And on a globe, that means toward the center, which means any point on the surface, down is going to be in toward the surface. That means China is not upside down, except if you're defining the entire frame of reference according to an observer on the opposite side of the globe, which is ridiculous. So, I mean, get out of here with those silly claims. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, so that was my timer, my 2-hour timer. I guess I'm not going to be accepting any other guests for tonight. I'm going to be ending within the next few minutes, guys. But let me try to catch up on some comments. Oh, I got Buy the Dip in here. He says, LMAO laugh emoji. He finds something funny. Care to share with the class Buy the Dip? Okay, Is Your Guy said, this is on YouTube, Is Your Guy says, seems like there are a number of different observations. Okay, I read that already. The fact that it seems to be rare and that it occurs in the northern hemisphere as well suggests that it's probably a reflection off of a larger dome above a flat Earth. I think that's tongue-in-cheek. Tile says, had any good flirts on so far? Yeah, we had 5 in here, and 5 was good. He was good. Hi, everyone. Oh, ending soon? Okay, bye, everyone. LOL. Sorry, Max. Yeah, that was the plan, at least. I guess if somebody persuaded me strongly, I might keep going, but, okay, trying to catch up here. Is that all Buy the Dip had to say? He just popped in to say LMAO, laugh emoji, that's it? Okay. Thanks for your contribution to society. Oh, I loved it when he was on Tunes Live, and he was just, this is Buy the Dip. Like a couple weeks ago, Buy the Dip was on Tunes Live here on TikTok, and Toon was trying to explain something to him about how the 24-hour sun works in Antarctica on a globe, and he was like, okay, here's the globe, and let's pretend the sun is the camera, right? And he started to show it, and Buy the Dip was like, no, the camera cannot be the sun, sir. It has to be an orange. It's like, what? You're trying to gatekeep how Toon does his demo? It was very goofy. Very goofy. It's kind of a meme here in my house. My wife has a YouTube channel where she made a meme song about it. Saint Swanton, your wonton, says all he does is cry and run. Yeah. If you don't, Miss Moody says, if you don't trust the experts, then don't trust your doctor when he says you have cancer. Oh no, that's the thing. Like, people have literally died from that. Like, Rob Skiba's wife literally died from that. Literally. Which is so sad. Like, she wasn't really, like, that was preventable. That was 100% preventable, but anyway. I don't know how much, how much of that is personal info, like, that I'm not supposed to share, but Felix says, why do not try water physics on solid horizontal surface? Well, Felix, because that's an arbitrary test that flat earthers are trying to enforce on globers. Why on earth would we let you set the rules? That's just not how life works at all. On the globe, the water sticks to it on the water of the oceans stick to the surface of the globe due to gravity, right? The same thing that right here is causing this to fall, that's the force that causes the oceans to stick to the surface of the globe. that force does not scale, right? So you cannot make a physical replica, a scaled down physical replica of the globe that demonstrates that physics, because the physics involved don't scale. A model, however, can be mathematical or abstract or logical or conceptual. Like, and the math absolutely does work out. The force of gravity does fully explain in the globe model how the oceans stick to the surface of the globe. It's just a complete fantasy that flat earthers think science requires that we create a scale replica demonstrating water sticking to a ball. That is cult dogma that you're vomiting back up. That is science fiction? No, incorrect, Felix. That is not science fiction. You're just vomiting cult dogma. Flat earthers don't trust the experts, and it's not possible on Earth because of gravity. Show me how water stay on ball. Okay, did you not listen to a word I just said? Like even one word? Did you just listen to like one word and said, oh, that's science fiction, tune out the rest? Is that what just happened? I think that's what just happened. Water is magnetic now? Nobody said anything about magnetism. That's completely different. Did I say a word about magnetism? Anybody? No. Felix just brought that in as a red herring fallacy, trying to put that word in my mouth. Water is not magnetism. Nobody said that except you, Felix. Your listening skills are sub-zero. I'm glad I'm not accepting guests anymore, because that's, bad listening skills like that, those listening skills are so bad that you have to be on some level doing it on purpose. Which, guess what? That's a guerrilla tactic. And you might not last very long on my live if you were a guest. Water doesn't... This is Fantasy World 7-7. Water doesn't stick to a ball, bro. Water always finds its own level. Look at any ocean, no curve. Okay. It sounds like you didn't listen either. Maybe you just got here, or maybe you're just too deep in the cult and you didn't listen. But listen now, okay? I already explained gravity doesn't scale. So you can't make a scale replica. But the other thing you seem to be missing is level means at all heights in up and down. Like at the same height, everywhere. Height is defined in reference to up and down. So the direction that things fall down is toward the center on a globe. And if you make a surface orthogonal to that vector on a globe, you get a sphere. So yes, water on a globe is level and curved. Those two concepts are not mutually exclusive, and if that's too complex for you to understand, then maybe you should rethink vomiting your cult dogma. Because you're just making a fool of yourself. Where was that? Yeah, so basically you cited evidence, okay, behavior of water that we observed, it always finds its level, right? Like, because if any part of it is higher, then it's going to fall down until it's the same level. Yes, we agree with that. That works on a globe. And then you jump to a non sequitur. Look at any ocean, no curve. False. Wrong. Non sequitur. Just because it finds its own level, if you want to use that flurf terminology, doesn't mean there's no curve. That's just a non sequitur. Water in nature disproves your globe, kid. Yeah, that's those sub-zero listening skills in action again. Felix, keep pushing and you might just get muted from my live. This is not how we want to have conversations here. We want people to actually try to listen and understand one another here. And you're demonstrating a failure to do that. Like a willful failure to do that. That's what I classify as a guerrilla tactic, and you gotta stop that. But I'm not ending my live anyway. I'm sorry, Cowboy Jones. I'm not gonna accept any guests because I'm ending. Otherwise, I would accept. Just I was planning to end here in a minute. So thank you for requesting. But maybe next time. Okay. As your guy says, if water finds its level and explain waves. Interesting to hear their answer to that, but I mean, they're not wrong. There is a like a sort of leveling force to water. It's just that it can be overcome by other forces, like turbulence and wind and tidal forces, etc., etc. Why are the bottom of clouds always flat? Because of isobars. Look it up. Okay. Oh yeah, and isobars are curved, by the way, just like water level. Alrock says, hey, do you remember that one time that flat earthers proved the earth flat? Neither do I. Ha ha ha. That's a good one. All right, guys, I gotta say goodnight. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. Thank you again to Helping Flat Earthers for the gifts up there. Well, maybe up there on YouTube. That was a while back, but thank you. And I hope you all have a good night. See you next time.